To unpack these allegations and what's happening to those being detained, we're joined by Roger Etkind from the Western Cape Coalition Against Xenophobia. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time and welcome.
Thanks very much for having us.
Roger, perhaps let's start here. I mean, almost 2 months ago is a very long time to be detained. What exactly is happening in the Winelands, and how many people are we talking about as we try and assess the scale?
Well, your viewers will remember the famous day, June the 30th, which was the alleged deadline which March set for migrants to leave South Africa. So on that day in Robertson, police went door to door in Ngubela Township, pulling people out of their houses, irrespective of their immigration status, and locking them up. How many people have been taken? It's very difficult to establish because the police have made it extremely difficult to contact them. Occasionally we're able to, much of the time we haven't been able to. And we know for certain that some of these people have fully authenticated papers, and yet the police and even the courts don't appear to care.
So, I mean, when you say police went door to door and irrespective of someone's legal status, they were locked up, what evidence do you have as a coalition to support that?
Okay, I think the best case that I can talk to you about is the case of Tobias Makwacha. I spoke at length this afternoon, in fact, with his uncle, and his uncle is in contact with him. He came to South Africa just before, I think on the 23rd of July, for medical treatment. He has quite a severe intestinal condition, and he needed medical treatment that wasn't available in Zimbabwe. He had his passport, he had his visa. In his passport, he had all his documentation. He was picked up on that 30th of June. Sorry, he came on the 23rd of June, I think. He was picked up on the 30th of June. He was locked up. People came with his passport and his visa to try and persuade the police to release him.
Mm-hmm.
They took the passport, but then claimed to have lost it, and they kept him in prison. In fact, they kept him in prison. His visa was he was taken to court on the 27th of July. He wasn't informed of his rights. He wasn't given legal aid. He was intimidated into paying a fine of 1,800 rand. And then they kept him further until the 22nd of August. His visa ran out, at which point they are now deporting him as a so-called illegal immigrant. He is, as we speak, in a van on the way to Lindela. He's very sick. As of this afternoon, they've been in that van for more than 24 hours without any food. He needs food in order to be able to take his medication. So there is a clear, authenticated example of a clearly documented person whose documents were simply ignored. In fact, I can give you another example in Paro. In July, Dan Morchuma, another Zimbabwean, went to the police station to get an affidavit signed, and they arrested him. He didn't have his documents on him at the time, but people brought those documents. They claimed that the documents were fake, and they kept him for 48 hours. During that time, they talked to him and told him that they have a quota at the police station of migrants that they have to arrest. So they appear not to care whether they're documented or not.
Yeah, you've also
Eventually
said,
he was taken to court and then released before he appeared.
you've also said, Roger, this evening that the courts seemingly don't care. What in your view, needs to happen in that space? I mean, what evidence do you have that people are being denied their right to appear before a magistrate within the required time frame, as we see people having been, sitting behind bars for as much as 2 months?
The courts in Robertson, at any rate, are kind of mixing up two pieces of legislation. And they're using criminal procedure to fine these people, at which point, once you have paid a fine, you're supposed to be released, but they're not releasing them. If the Department of Home Affairs wants to deport them, they have to go through a procedure, notifying them of the intended deportation, giving them 48 hours, and a whole series of other provisions, none of which have been adhered to. So it seems that really out there in Robertson at least, and we believe in many parts of the country, it's the Wild West. Nobody cares about migrants. There's a whole movement that claims that migrants are a major problem in this country. And what we say as the coalition is that the problems of this country are nothing to do with migrants. The problem of 43% of unemployment, the problem of massive queues for healthcare, the problem of overcrowded classrooms, these are to do with budget cuts, they're to do with austerity, they're nothing to do with migrants, who are a tiny proportion of the population in this country.
So what do you think needs to happen now, and how quickly, to ensure that the people who have been wrongfully detained or who need medical care are dealt with, and if some need to be deported, and have that process also dealt with so that they can be deported if they are in the country illegally?
There's a new head of the Commissioner of Police in the Western Cape. We think that he should actually intervene here. We know now that there are 8 young women right now incarcerated in Robertson, holding cells in the police station. All of them have paid their fines. All of them are being detained illegally. And the police need to obey the law. It seems a strange thing to say, but the police are not obeying the law at the moment. The courts need to enforce the law instead of allowing the police to behave like this. These are people. And it's not surprising in our view that other countries in Africa are expressing anger at South Africa because of the inhumane way in which this country is treating their citizens.
And we have seen those reactions. Thank you very much. Thanks for speaking to us this evening. Roger Etkind from the Western Cape Coalition Against Xenophobia.